It's a lovely good evening to you. Actually, it's the afternoon. I hope you're doing so well. Tank is down here. It's not very big, but it is the same here also. But it's very different from that one over there. This is going to be a big bunch because the trunk is actually big. Today we're going to look at two things, actually three. So number one, it is the issues of how to source and how to store original seeds. Then I'm going to highlight a few things on the fertilizers. Then I'm going to talk about pest control in our fields. In Kenya, if you do a research right now, you find that you people are having issues on the control of seeds. If you are well updated with what is happening in the agriculture sector, you know what I'm talking about. I'll give an example of our country, Zambia. We have these big multinational seed companies that are coming, and what they're doing two things. They come, they establish their plant, they find small seed companies, they merge them, they buy them. Then they go to the government, they buy local seed rights so that the local people are not allowed to distribute seeds. Then eventually they control the seeds so that whenever you want to plant, you have to go to them. And now they sell you seeds you cannot replant. I don't know, have you seen something like this in your countries and other countries? And now as God's people, we are sleeping. No wonder I said there is need of more God's children in the agriculture sector so that there should be a voice. They should be able to do the most. So, if you cannot control the country, there are certain systems that you cannot fight, but you can always work within the system. I read somewhere it says, you see, don't fight the systems, but learn to work within the system. So, now let me give you a very simple trick. In terms of seeds, when you say, I'm selling a seed, and it is not certified, they can actually sue you and, lock you up. But instead of using the word seed, you use grain. You get a point? So when you share a seed with a friend, so now I want to share some grains with you, but these are grains which our grandfathers were planting, so you can try it. But now when you sell it as a seed, it must go through regulation. And as much as you know, if you remember what Pastor Luaho was preaching, he said about how Babylon is controlling. And one of the things he mentioned, he said, actually, they are controlling the agriculture sector. And now we talk of the issues of health and all those things. These things pop in. Okay. So, number one, in terms of organic seeds, you've seen the maize there. That is proper organic. You can plant them, replant them until Jesus comes. These are seeds that are rare to find on the market. But one thing that I know is you will always find what you look for. Just look for them. Even right here in Kenya, there are local seeds. There are people that have them. You see, there's a time Elijah thought he was the only one. But God had preserved. So there are things that you think they are not there, but they are there. You haven't just yet started looking for them and praying. Okay? So now, how do you deal with the issues of seed? Number one, get a few and multiply. I told you I had only gotten 20 from Brother Raho. Then I replanted. Right now I've got about maybe, when we harvest, I think we're going to be harvesting about 7 bags. 7 by 5, that is 350 bags from 20 seeds. You can get tomatoes. One tomato, you squeeze it a few seeds, they'll give you so many plants. So what am I saying? As a child of God, you have to learn the art of multiplication and the art of seed propagation. The best way to do that is actually by trying. You get one tomato, you try it. You get one rape, you try it. Because every seed we buy, every seed. Do you know that lettuce produces seeds? The only unfortunate part is we eat things before they mature, so we don't see the seeds. So if you allow it to grow, and here's one secret. It's not actually a secret, it's a truth. When you want to produce seeds, plant your things towards winter. Because in winter, things mature fast. Have you gotten that one? Even cabbage, you plant it at least 2 months before winter. What will happen is it will mature. Then do you think cabbage produces seeds? So now the question I ask you is, if it doesn't, where do you think the seeds come from? So when you keep that cabbage, at the middle there comes out a shoot. Even onion produces seeds. Only garlic you plant cloves. Okay? So you have to learn how to propagate things. I can propagate any tree on this planet. Even a human being. No, I've got 3 boys, eh? I have 3 boys. I have propagated. So God gave us the power to propagate. Any tree that you see here, just by looking at it, I can tell how to propagate it. It's either from seed, cuttings, roots, suckers. And now, I did not learn that in school. And there are so many graduates with their PhDs in agriculture, they can't do what I have been able to do. The reason is very simple. My teacher has been Christ and nature. You've heard here, you have to think and do. So that has given me an opportunity to learn what you cannot learn in class. And everyone here can learn that art. And on Friday, we're going to be doing some practicals on that so that you can just get started. Okay. Now, when you get your seeds and you want to keep them, one of the best ways to keep seeds is actually freezing. Do you know that when you freeze your seeds, they can stay even for 15 years? In the government gene bank, that's how they preserve seeds. You just go and do a research how to preserve seeds using freezing. When you want to keep your food longer, what do you do? So when you freeze the seeds, they go into dormancy. They become inactive. The principles of preservation are the same. Okay? Then us, who grew up in those days in the 90s, this is how we used to preserve our maize. You can see, so we would harvest the best cobs, put them in the kitchen where there is smoke, and that smoke would coat on the grain so that the pests cannot eat them. Organic preservation. You know, we have been taught, and this issue of being mere reflectors of the thoughts of other men is very dangerous. Because you see, there are so many things that we just do without thinking because others are doing them. To the point that we've forgotten where we come from, we don't know where we are and even where we are going. Are you able to predict how the agriculture industry will be in the future if you're not the driver? So there is and one good thing that I know I cannot control the country, I know I cannot control the world, but one thing that I know very well, I can control my territory at home. There is no one who can come in as long as I'm alive to control me. There, I will defend my territory to death. You understand what I'm saying? So you cannot control other people, but at least your territory, you make sure that you guard it jealously. Do you know, I love National Geographic so much. You know lions, what they do? They mark their territory. The primary job of the lion is to protect the territory. No wonder the lion rarely hunts. Its primary job is multiplication, to make sure that the family doesn't go into extinct. Okay, so you can freeze the seed in terms of preservation, and I've shown you the other way. Then the other way, that's what we used to do, is actually you get cow manure and mix the seeds with the cow manure. You'd also use wood wash. Now, what are you preventing the seeds from? These are methods that you use for short term, like if you want to plant your maize next year or you want to plant your grains next year, you'd smoke them. You'd get sorghum and hang it. You'd get seeds of What's this? Maybe rape and all those things. So you can have a small patch of every type well stored. Are we together? Then you can use the closed containers because mostly we prevent from pests so that they cannot eat the what? The heart of the seeds. Then one way to preserve your seeds is to share with others. So when you share with others, what will happen is when you lose yours, you know where to do what? Some of you are very stingy, but you are good people. So you share with what? With others. So that when you don't have, you know where you can actually get. Then as I mentioned earlier on, you have to learn how to propagate or multiply seeds. When you plant one seed of rape and it produces seeds, how many is it going to produce? You can see the maize there. I planted one and that one produced more than 400. So now, how many seeds do you need to multiply? Just a few. You can get 5 and you multiply. Are we together? I don't know. So you look at this and see how you can actually do it in your own style. There is absolutely no sin. Have a small portion which you can designate a small portion where you plant seeds. 1 line of tomatoes, 1 line of lettuce, onions, cabbage, just one, just a small portion, even 10 of each, and guard that one jealously. That is your mother plant. That is your gene bank. And every living being can do this. We know that the dead are dead. There should be a difference. Someone said there should be a difference between a living person and a dead person. A dead person knows nothing and does nothing, but the living. So everyone who has the capacity to eat, they have the capacity to grow what they eat. We can spare the dead. On the part of the fertilizer, you remember we talked about fertilizers, eh? I mentioned the plants that you can use. So I want to share some tips on how you can make your organic fertilizer stronger. So when you get those blue drums I showed you, what you fill it with is a 50 kg bulk of organic matter. Like, you get the leaves of comfrey, tithonia, moringa. You put them first in the drum, then you pour the water. No. You put them when they are fresh. Okay? You put them in the drum before you put the water. Because when you start with the water and you put the leaves, what will happen? They'll float. So you can either put them in the sack, put the sack, then you think about a way you can make sure that the sack is down. I'm not going to tell you. But the point is the sack should be inside. Then now you pour the what? The water. Now, after pouring the water, let me talk about picking the leaves. Number one, when you are picking the leaves, pick the freshest leaves. When you go to buy vegetables, which vegetables are more nutritious? The dry ones, the old ones, or the freshest ones? So those ones are more nutritious. If you want to make the best fertilizer, make sure that your material is the best quality. Then secondly, you need a variety. Don't just put one, put at least 1, 2, 3, or 4 with a ratio which may be balanced, but depending on what you have, but at least put more than what? 1. You can put, like, let's say, for example, you get spinach, you put comfrey, moringa. That helps in balancing the nutritional content. Just imagine you go to the kitchen. The only thing that you go there, you find is tea. Or you just find how do you call shima here? You just find ugari without radish. So when you are picking the leaves, pick the best. So that will give you the best nutrition. So, and also having a variety balances up the nutritional content so that your fertilizer is not malnourished. It's not just the issue of putting things. You have to put the correct what? Things. Then thirdly is the duration of decomposition. So the duration of decomposition is 14 days, at least 15 days. What would have happened is that, those things would have decomposed. Only fiber is remaining. The nutrients have been extracted from the plant into the water. And you don't even need a grade 7 certificate to do that. So once you've done that, when you get leaves of papaya, at least 5 leaves of papaya, you add them. So papaya has a chemical that helps in decomposing things faster. Are we together? You get 5 leaves, you put them there, they'll help to decompose that faster. Now, this is the first time you are doing it. The second time you make your fertilizer. Now, I want you to get the second time you are making your fertilizer. So when you get fresh sour milk, and you get sour milk, then you want the fresh milk to be sour milk. Then you get the sour milk, you put it in a clean container, and you get the sour milk and you put it in a container which had sour milk. Which of these fresh milks is going to be sour first? The one which is, you get a point, huh? So now, what am I trying to say here? Not what am I trying. What am I saying? What I'm saying is this. When you make your fertilizer the first time, it will take longer to decompose because bacteria are being made. The second time you are making your fertilizer, you don't need to complete everything in the drum. So when you put, there should be some residues of the first one so that it will help decompose this one. How about that one? That's a very powerful organic punchline. Okay, so you've seen that. Then here is the third layer. When you want your fertilizer to be more powerful than the first one, no, not the first one, but the first one, here's what you do. When you get a cup of glass, you put 1 spoon of sugar. You stir it. How is the taste going to be? Sweet. Then when you get another one, you add. You stir again. What happens? Yeah, we'll see when you get to number 4. When you put the second one, how is it going to be? Then when you put the 4th one, okay, so the more you put the sugar, the more the concentration becomes. And the more sweeter it becomes and more dense. So, when you want your fertilizer to be very, very concentrated, especially when you're applying on the bigger plants, what do? You get the leaves, put them in a sack. You see that, how I was doing that. Check on my YouTube channel, Radical Farmer, you'll find how to make organic fertilizers. You'll see. So when you put the first one, it will have nutrients, but not very many. Then you remove the sack because only fiber is remaining. Yeah, you remove the sack because only fiber, all the leaves, they decompose. Then in that fertilizer, instead of using it, you get another bunch of leaves, you put them. So the fertilizer is melting the fertilizer. Then you come and put the 4th one, then it becomes more concentrated. So, and this is good for trees that have fully established, not for smaller ones. For smaller ones, it's just the first one, because you wouldn't want to burn them with a, yeah. And actually, from just this, you have a small demo. Do you see seed companies having fields? So what you can do is you can have just a small demo plot. You apply your fertilizer, and you can start a business selling organic fertilizer. Your first customers, it is these people that love organic food and healthy people. Are we together? So farming is not just about growing things and selling produce. Farming starts right here, where you are selling what farmers need to grow healthy food. But this job, we've given it to pagans and heathens. And then we complain that they are just trying to do what we have failed to do. Are we together? So we, God's children, should be in place of doing the right things, okay? So on the other side, in terms of making your fertilizer stronger, you've gotten the point, huh? Then we come to the issues of storage. How do you store it? If you want to store the liquid fertilizer, do you know what you do? You get it. I said when you are making it, use plastic drums because they don't react with the chemicals there. When you use the steel ones, you will tell me what will happen to them. And on the other side also, when you use cement, the cement will start melting gradually. But plastic ones, I'm sure, do you have plastic drums in Kenya, those blue ones? Yeah, those 210 is a universal container. So the other way to store, you put them in the container and seal it. And when you are making this fertilizer, make sure that you make it under the shade, not under direct sunlight, because it is going to disturb the microorganisms. So under the shade is very good. So when you are storing it, store in the container, then put them under in cool temperature. It shouldn't be in hot. Do you know what will happen when you put it in the hot? The container is going to burst. Okay, now here's one thing you should understand. As you make this organic fertilizer, you should understand that this organic fertilizer, it comes with an aroma, which will teach you patience and also endurance. But it is bearable. So one way to change that aroma is you add molasses. Like in, you know molasses, huh? In Zambia, we have a lot. You can go where they make sugar. It is the good thing which they throw away and they give us the other thing. So molasses, you put 1 liter in a 210 drum. If you don't have molasses, you can use things like leaves of lemongrass. Lemongrass is nutritious. It can be used as a fertilizer. When you add it in there, it also helps in reducing the smell. Okay? So what am I saying? In terms of the materials that you can use, look at what you have in your country. Get the principles, anything that is nutritious, and always be open-minded. Don't get stuck with what I've just said. Explore and expand. Let me learn from you also. Are we together? So don't just limit yourself, but get the principle and know that you can make your own fertilizer, and you'll be very shocked with what you're going to discover. You can also use raw manure. Like, for example, you get goat manure, you can get chicken manure, and soak it in the water and make liquid fertilizer. But I said the quality of manure is determined by what the bird or whatsoever that thing was eating is going to be in the manure. Are we together? So those things happen and they affect even the quality and the nutritional content of your food. So then when you are applying on smaller plants, you'd have to dilute it. How do you dilute it? You use a ratio of 1 to 3. So 1 is the water, the fertilizer. 3 is the what? The water. So when we say 20 liters of fertilizers, it has to be mixed with 20 liters of what? Water. So if you are doing a fertigation, you'd need the one which is highly concentrated. Then now you have to come up with some calculations on how, like for example in fruit trees, you put 1 liter per fruit tree twice a month. So then you count how many plants are in the field. Then you count how many liters of fertilizer you have and you do the calculations. So you think there's no mathematics in farming? Here, organically we are doing some mathematics. And one thing that I've developed is I can solve complex problems with very simple organic formulas. Some things get sorted as I do them. Do you know that you don't need to be ready to do certain things? Certain other things get ready as you do them. That's why some of us, we fail to start because we want everything to be there. There will never be a time when everything is there. So you get ready with what is there. Other things will be sorting themselves out as you move. Do you think the children of Israel knew what they were going to be eating as they were going to Canaan? But other things were sorting themselves. Then also there is where you can use this fertilizer as solid. You see, I told you that things that are nutritious decompose faster. So what do? You get the leaves of comfrey, you get the leaves of stinging nettle, you get the leaves of moringa, you get the leaves of tithonia, you get the leaves of alfalfa, which is lucerne, you get leaves of anything that is nutritious and mulch them under the fruit tree. and they decompose very fast, and the food is going to be coming, the roots are going to be coming to the surface. Did you know that roots that gather nutrients don't go deep, they're just on the surface? Fabulous roots. If you want to test that, go in the bush, uproot one plant and see the taproot goes down, the fabulous roots are just on the surface. One way to get the trace elements, if you have soil that is very bad, you can use Epsom salt. You know that Epsom salt is nutritious? It has got trace elements. You can get 1 tablespoon of Epsom salt, put it in the drum, in a 20 liter, and use that water to water your plants. Now, trace elements, these are nutrients that are needed in very smaller quantities, and your food is going to be very tasty. Have you ever heard people say, no, my grapes are sour, my mangoes are not tasty, my peaches are bitter? One way to sort out that problem so quick is use Epsom salt. You know Epsom salt? 1 handful per fruit tree, it really sorts out the issues of taste. And these are minerals that are dug from the earth, which God has made them available to everyone. But when you work on your soil using the things that I mentioned earlier on, you can actually accomplish the best taste, disease resistance, without using Himalayan salt and also Epsom salt and all those things. But in an event that you are still transitioning, you can use these solutions. We come to the issues of pest control. When you talk about the issues of pests, many of us are scared of pests. And the only solution which the world has for pests is pesticide. Where there's no thinking involved, you just say, okay, I have a pest in my problem. No, use this chemical. No, this chemical did not work. No, you go and use that one. You are doing experiments. And now the question you should be asking yourself is, do you know that the chemicals we spray on the food take longer to get out of the food? Now, there are 2 types of chemicals. One is systemic pesticide. Now, this systemic pesticide is a pesticide when you spray it on the plant, it gets into the plant, so that any pest that eats that plant dies. Then the other one is, the ones that work with contact, where you have to spray the actual pest to die. And then there are genetically engineered pesticides that actually are inside the seed. When they tell you that this plant is pest resistant, it means they have already put the chemical inside. They have engineered some bacteria. You see how it works, eh? So that when a pest eats, it kills. Now, one thing you should understand is that anything that kills a pest can kill you. It's just a matter of dosages. We've got bigger livers. No wonder we've got a lot of liver damages, whereby your body is filled with cancer toxins, because the primary job of the liver, to the best of my organic knowledge, is to clean the body. Now, you find that our livers are overworking. And as they overwork, there are some toxins that bypass the liver because there are too many. Let me give an example. When you want to block water, and a lot of water is coming, what will happen? The water will pass you. So there are a lot of toxins that are bypassing the river and going to cause damage in other vital organs of the body, because we are eating things that are loaded with a lot of chemicals. So pesticides are one of the most deadly things. Now, we need to use organic ones, which work effectively and safely for you and me. Okay, now, you see, many times, we shouldn't be scared. We shouldn't be frustrated. Me, I grow things without spraying. You see this pepper and these onions, they are growing without spraying. So there's one thing that I've been experimenting for years, and that is a nutritional-based way of dealing with pests. What do? You feed your plants very well. Let the diet be well balanced. What will happen is that your plant will have self-defense mechanism. When you eat healthy, you become disease resistant. And it happens the same with the plants. So when a plant is well nourished, it produces sap that kills the pest. When you look at a field, do you think pests attack weak plants or strong plants? If you have been watching animals, do lions attack the strongest animal or the weakest? The law of nature applies everywhere. COVID sorted out mostly the old people that had weak immune systems. Don't we have those records? It is the same thing even when you don't do what I'm saying here, you have a problem with pests. Now, the one funny thing, do you know that you only find pests where man does agriculture? Have you ever seen that the problems that we are facing, you go in nature, they don't exist? So balanced that, feed your plants very well. Organic fertilizer supplies more than 16 nutrients, which a plant needs and more. But when we buy the fertilizers, mostly we buy one nutrient. No, go and buy calcium. No, go and buy magnesium. On the bag of fertilizer, they are very faithful. NPK, nitrogen, potassium, and phosphorus. That's all. This is what this fertilizer contains. When you are applying urea, it is just one nutrient, N, which is nitrogen. And these things, they work on the size, the flowering, and the root development. Nothing to do with the nutritional content. That's why we have vegetarians that eat things that are empty. And you wonder, why, my brother, are you sick of cancer? But you are a vegetarian. I don't have ever came across that one. And the people that we are preaching to, they start laughing at us. So the problem is in the agriculture sector because what we are eating, we don't know. You remember Jesus said, you know not what you worship. You people know not what you are eating. Are we together? So number one, feed your plants very well. Number two, plant herbs. Herbs have a way of repelling pests. Have you ever seen most herbs are not attacked by pests? So what do? You strategically plant them in your garden. They produce an aroma that repels what? Pests. Their root system goes down. They create a web, a network. Do you know that plants communicate? When one plant is attacked through the network, they can send a signal. My friend, there's a problem here. Be strong. Then that one will send some sap and some signals. You can fight that problem with this. So when there is diversity in the garden, there is a protection of each other. No wonder a house needs to be well balanced. There should be a father, a mother, boys and girls. Different capabilities. But the devil wants same things. He wants a woman to be staying with a woman and they form a family. He wants a man to be with a what? A man. See, contrary to the original plan, you go in nature, you find God plants different things. He doesn't just plant cabbage here. He has just 20 hectares. And you're even proud that I've got 20 hectares of maize. So look at how God does things. He has how many? Millions of hectares. And they are all different. But they are all flourishing. So plant herbs. Herbs, you can see, that is at Farm 7. Are you able to see the diversity? There is lettuce there. I'm sure you're able to see the onion here. Then there's rosemary, there's buckwheat, there's marigold, there's sunflower in one field. And these, they complement each other. So what happens, there are those that have got deep root systems. They bring nutrients to the surface. That one has got an aroma. That one has got a flower which brings pollinators and other predators. And things are being controlled organically while you are working elsewhere. Okay? Number two, companion planting. Companion planting, it is where you plant things that complement each other. There is what we call symbiosis. You know, symbiotic plants, some plants, symbiosis is whereby plants complement each other. You plant rape next to onion. And plants that are planted in a companion way, they don't compete with each other. They complement each other. Are we together? So, onions, now I'm talking about onions. So you see there's marigold there, then there's parsley, then there's spinach, then there's Swiss chard, so you find that on a small area you have all the diversity. So now the principle is one, they should not compete in terms of sunlight. Are we together? They shouldn't compete in terms of sunlight. Then number two, they shouldn't be fighting for nutrients. So you have to look at the type of plants you're planting. So like you cannot plant eggplant and impa in the same field. But you can plant eggplant and onions, garlic and onions. So look at things that help each other. Then plant correct seeds. The things we are talking about, the seed bank, there are certain diseases that come with there are certain seeds that come with diseases. If you saw my maize is very clean from armyworms. I've done an experiment also with the tomatoes. One disease that troubles tomato farmers is the issue of tuta. You know tuta? Just the seed. I grow Roma tomatoes, cherry tomatoes, yellowworm seeds. I don't have that problem. Okay? Then we come to the issue of plant a barrier around your garden. You can use lemongrass, you can use marigold, you can plant herbs. That prevents intruders from coming because the smell of herbs is very offensive to them. Then irrigate well and mulch. So when you irrigate your plants very well, they are going to be well hydrated. When someone is sick and you take them to the hospital, what is the first thing which they do? Drip. Water is a powerful solution across all things, all living things. So then when you mulch, one, you prevent a lot of fungal diseases. Are we together? You prevent a lot of what? Fungal diseases. Then you prevent weeds. Weeds can be a breeding ground for what? For pests. And then this helps in retaining moisture and all the good things that are actually there. Then the things that you can use to make pesticides. You can use aloe vera, and you don't need aloe vera from India. You need aloe vera in Kenya. The aloe vera that is within your reach knows the problems you are facing better than the one which is from India. So you can use aloe vera on how to make a pesticide. What we normally do is just get 5 leaves of aloe vera, crush them into a 20 liter, and you make a pesticide. You can spray the same day and eat the same day. You can use neem. You can use garlic, you can use pepper, molasses is good for the leaves, essential oil, liquid soap and cooking oil. So some of the things, what I'll do is I'll find a way to share, but the best that you can do, you go on my YouTube channel, you find that I was explaining on these things. And the good thing is that all these things, you can grow them, and like at Farm 7, we grow these things and use them to make our own pesticide. And it is in rare cases, if you have seen, spraying is the last thing. When you do the right things in your fields, you have less problems. Then after that, you are going to have very good organic results, as you can see over there. So these are fields at Organic Farm 7. So what I'm telling you is not just theories. I'm telling you about reality that I have seen firsthand. And as I told you, I didn't go to study agriculture. I've been learning from God and nature. And the field has been my what? My school. I'm going to end here. And I hope you've gotten something that is going to help you in your farming. And if you have some questions, what I'll do is, because time is up, you can see me. I'm still around. I'm here for you. And I'll be very happy to see how best I can help you. What do we say? Okay. So we're going to have a word of prayer as we close here. Let us pray. Father in heaven, we thank you for the time that you gave us to run through some lessons on organic farming. You are the best organic farmer the world has ever seen. We're asking you, Lord, to teach us to be humble and to follow your instructions so that we can prepare to be with you in heaven forever, but heaven should begin right here on this planet. May you help each and every one of us and teach us, dear Lord, to be humble and to be teachable. In Jesus' name we pray, thanks in our hearts. Amen.